And this is where I want to take a moment to make sure that you have a pen and paper. And as best as you can, I want you to draw this image on paper. Good luck, right? I've tried it. It's not easy as you think it is. So first of all, you'll laugh at your ability to make circles. That was also a challenge for me. But if you have pen and paper, I'd like you to draw this exact bullseye, if you will. So what I want you to think about, and especially in our business, is the entire world, and our entire world works in comfort zones. So in the middle is where you started out as a human, if you will, right? And when you started out, the first thing that you had to accomplish that was probably uncomfortable is you had to get up and start walking or crawling. And if you think about that, when you were that age, that was something that was very much scary, very much out of your comfort zone. And then all of a sudden you move to the next layer outside of that and you're like, hey, I'm walking. Super comfortable with that. This seems to be a lot easier. And now I don't have to, get my knees dirty and do all of this gross stuff and, touch bugs. So I was like, sweet, that really makes a lot of sense. So now we get to that next level of comfort zone. Then the next thing that happens is they're like, hey, you know what you need to do to get even further and faster in life? You got to learn how to drive a car. And you're like, oh, that sounds terrifying. I'm going to get behind this wheel of this massive machine. And I remember this specifically when I got into, well, the first car I probably was in was, well, I won't tell that story. That's a criminal story. But anyway, the first vehicle that I drove, I was very scared for multiple reasons. So I was a bit uncomfortable with driving that vehicle, right? Then all of a sudden, I was like, okay, you get the reps in. I became a lot more comfortable. So I moved another level of the ring into my comfort zone. So what I want us to think about is where we're at currently. What are we comfortable with? And if you drew one more outline circle around this, which I'd love for you to do, I want you to write in there right now, what are you uncomfortable with currently? It could be life, it could be business, right? Like it could be anything that you want to deal with. What is currently making you uncomfortable right now? So take a second to think about that. Is it making calls? Is it going on listing presentations? Is it pickleball, right, which you don't even know yet? Is it golf? What is it that's currently making you very uncomfortable? In closing this out, I want you to think about that same mindset of going, look, I had to crawl, then I started walking, then I started driving. All of those things were extremely uncomfortable moments, and now you don't even think about them anymore. So once we start to go into that outer circle and we look at it, whether it's handing out flyers, door knocking, it's only going to be uncomfortable until it becomes comfortable. And there's no magic recipe to this. It's just that we've got to continue doing it, continuing to build that thick skin, continuing to build that new level of comfort. Some of us talk about it with the air conditioning, right? Or the thermostat, right? We talk about turning that thermostat up to 75 degrees and you go, man, this is too hot for me. Well, if you turned your thermostat up to 75 and started coming home every day and understood that that was the current temperature, you would eventually get used to it. I mean, think about all the people that live in South Florida, right? It's just miserable all summer, but they get used to it, right? You hear this all the time. Oh, you get used to the humidity, Brendan, it's fine. And I'm like, no, I don't. I've never gotten used to it. I don't, it's not, I will move, right? So maybe there's a few times where you won't actually become comfortable, but everything else that we're trying to think through here is it's a moment in time. And are you moving from the inside layer to the outside layer?